Hello there.
Why,
How
hello
are you?
there.
How are you
So
doing?
one of the things I'm going to do is try to show people essentially how this game works. I've had a couple of different people trying to tell me that on insanity mode you can't actually increase the amount of resources that you have. That you are essentially stuck with 10 resources per unit or whatever. And that people, I've actually had people accuse me of cheating, uploading a video of myself cheating on YouTube. And I do find it kind of funny because it's pretty easy to figure out. Pretty much, it's pretty easy to figure out how to actually figure out how this whole thing works. So I thought I'd go ahead and give some people a quick view of this sort of stuff. So basically, when you look at the game options here, you can see the setting of the AI difficulty. You can have easy, standard, hard, harder, and insane. Insane is really hard because the starting resources are quite honestly through the roof. And so the simple reality is that the insane AI has just basically 10 times more resources than you, and really the only big factor to defeating them is time. So you really do have to rely inherently on great strategy to defeat them. And simply put, it is almost impossible to win. There's also starting resources. You can see standard and quick start. Quick start starts off with like 10,000 of energy and requisition. So for the most part, you can get a lot more resources with quick start, but it's pretty boring. It's not like double the resources. It's actually like 50 times the resources. Locked teams is pretty simple. It means you can't, in the middle of a battle, switch sides. Enable cheats, obviously, that's a pretty obvious one. There's a command console. In other words, if you type into the command console, you can cheat in these games and create circumstances and that are in your favor. And this has to be enabled through this feature in order to be able to do that. So with it on enable cheats, no, you can't cheat, right? So starting location is fixed. The reason I prefer this is consistency and repeatability. So for instance, if you have a relatively large amount of battles you have to do, if you have to do like 100 in a row to try to finally beat the insane AI like I did, I had to try over and over and over again. You don't like starting off on different parts of the map because the simple reality is that you're basically having to replay the game a different way every single time, and it makes it much harder to win. You realize what your mistake is from the last battle and try to improve, but when you're starting off on different maps or starting off in different locations on the same map, it becomes very hard to sort of figure out how to do that. So I prefer fixed maps for that reason. It's actually easier sometimes to start on other ends of the map, and the fixed location for your particular character isn't always where you want it to be. It's usually level 1, like player 1 or player 2 position, which is not very good. Game speed, this is pretty self-evident. The characters just move faster and stuff. I prefer a little bit slower game speed, like on normal, because it's harder to keep up with things. Resource sharing means whether or not you share a resource with your allies, and the resource rate that I always use is high. Now, this is what people accuse me of cheating over, was that I have the resource rate on high. It makes the games go a little bit faster when both sides get a little bit more resources. But what this does is this actually increases the amount of resources you have by 50% on both sides. So people accuse me of cheating because I had a higher than normal energy level. Oh, you should only have 10. You can either have 5, 10, or 15 with the high setting per plasma generator, and roughly that carries over, that proportion of 5, 10, 15, that proportion carries over. So if I put it on high, you can see that one thing you would get is about 15 resources per capture point or per plasma generator. Now, obviously, once you upgrade your capture points and you start getting more requisition and stuff, it ends up being more than that. So a lot of people have accused me of cheating and stuff. The other thing is I don't play the game with Assassinate. Assassinate is where simply eliminate the enemy's commander and you win the game. Control area is simply that if you control, 2/3 of the strategic points or 66%, you win. Destroy HQ means all you have to do is destroy the enemy's HQ, and you win. Economic victory is just amass a certain amount of resources. There's a game timer. Simply put, that's not how you win, but basically it shows how much time has been carried on. There's take and hold, which allows you to capture the critical locations. So if you capture the critical locations, you instantly win the game. I find that to be really boring. Capturing critical locations is boring because you win in about 2 minutes. It's really easy to win that way, and it's kind of boring to defeat an AI. So people accuse me of cheating, but I'm running on Annihilate rules, which is, simply put, you have to eliminate all of your enemies and destroy his buildings capable of unit production. I only play on Annihilate, which requires that you destroy every last one of the enemy's buildings in order to be able to win. So I actually play on a much hard. Not only do I defeat the insane AI, but I did it on the hardest mode possible of Annihilate. And for whatever reason, nobody believed this because the resource rate was on high, and most people are used to it being on standard. I have met veterans of this game. I've only played this game for 40 hours when I first beat it on the insane AI. And I have met veteran players who played hundreds of hours who accuse me of cheating, which is, I don't really care, but they accuse me of cheating because they don't know that you can change the resource rate. They don't know what any of these things do. I've met players that have played games for hundreds of hours, and I go in and I'll show them, hey, did you know that you can change the keyboard bindings, or did you know you can do this? Like, what? These people have no idea. So I thought I would just make that clear. And so with that clear, I'm going to set it on standard just to show that you can beat the AI on standard, on insanity mode. You don't just have to beat them on high. So here's the resource rate on standard. For whatever reason, nobody seemed to have any question for my other videos of me defeating insane AIs. But for one of my videos, they have a problem. So to go ahead and clarify on this particular map, your objective is to lock the enemy into their moon base up here. And again, critically analyze the maps before you play the game. But anyways, your objective here is just to analyze the map and then use that to defeat your opponents. Use your terrain advantages. Basically, people tend to be really stupid from my experience, and they really don't understand that one of your objectives is just to essentially lock the enemy into their end of the map. You really don't want to let them explore the map. You don't really want an open battle. So my basic strategy is this, which is a very simple way to win, is produce scouts. Scouts, when you're playing against other real people, are just the most worthless units ever. But when you're playing against an AI, scouts are the most important thing. Everything about this game is speed. You cannot defeat the AI in open battle, so do not even try. You can't defeat an insanity AI. So you have to conquer the entire map, get all the requisition points, and everything else before the AI can in order to win. One thing I like to use is pausing because it makes it easier to micromanage. When you don't use key bindings, I don't typically use key bindings. I'm more of a clicker. I used to love key bindings, such as World of Warcraft, but I pretty much stopped because I don't know any of the key bindings for this game. And basically, I just use clicking, and that's how I typically play this game. Like I said, I'm not a veteran player, but I can still beat it on Insane AI because the intuitive and instinctive strategies of combat are carry over from most strategic games, most strategy games, especially real-time strategy games. And as a result of that, you don't really have to have played a lot to understand the fundamental basics of the game. Like I said, a lot of people that I play with have played the game for hundreds of hours, thousands of hours, and they literally have no idea you can do any of this. They have no idea how the game... They've never thought about strategic strategies and things like that. So basically, the basic strategy is this. Produce a bunch of scouts, try to take over the enemy base, and basically lock the enemy into a corner. And the AIs, they're designed to be defensive. So once you can get a person in real life to do this, or an AI, once you have this intuitive and instinctive understanding of how people think or how the creators of the AIs think. So basically, what the creator of the AI was thinking when he made it, you can pretty much figure out how it works, how it ticks, and then use that against it. It's how you win a game of chess, is you figure out what the enemy strategy is, and you fight against that. Against an enemy with overwhelming resources, overwhelming fire superiority, which in the case of this game, we're setting the modes on insane, you really can't expect to beat them with raw brute force. It has to be strategy. So the simple strategy is pretty much just to mass produce scouts and then, take over the enemy. And it's pretty easy to do. What you'll notice is that I'm not completely surrounding the enemy. A lot of people were shocked by that, saying, no, that was an easy AI. No, it's definitely an insane AI. See, look, it's definitely insane. And what you can do is basically force the enemy into a corner, and even if it can go around and flank you, it won't. You're forcing the AI to turtle, and then that way it won't attack you. So this is an open base, this is an open base map where it's very easy to move around, and you can still lock the enemy in. So let me just show you what my strategy is. A lot of people, again, that I've met have accused me of cheating, and I just think it's funny. It's like, okay, well, you understand these are base functions of the game. You can modify the resource rates. You can modify all of these things. For whatever reason, you just got people that don't want to do that. And, okay, whatever. So anyways, so what I immediately do is I pause. That makes the game much easier to play. And then you can build an aspect portal, right, which you end up having to do for this particular build, anyways. But the overall objective is just to run as fast as you possibly can over to the enemy position and set up a Webley gate. You want to set up a teleportation gate, which will also allow you to build machine gun turrets. Now, I understand what I'm talking about now is all strategy, but the reason I'm telling people this is because they just accused me of cheating. And I'm telling them that there's different strategies that you can use. As you see, what you are going to be pretty, you're going to burn through your resources pretty quickly. So you need to make your first couple of resources really count. Now, micromanaging is the hardest part of this game. Micromanaging your logistics. It's really, winning is all about logistics. So just like in real war, logistics are usually the most important factor to succeeding in combat. A lot of people think that it's weapons, or that, we need to come some sort of edge over the enemy with raw weapons, but that's really not usually how you win. When you're against an enemy who's roughly of equal ability to you, you can't rely on simply having the best weapons to win. And so you have to rely more so on strategy, which is, again, relatively simplistic. This is just a video game. But a lot of the same strategies carry over. A lot of people just believe that it's impossible to win against insane AI, and so they'll nitpick any tiny little thing that you do wrong to try to show you that because they don't believe that it's possible. They can't do it, so they don't believe it's possible. But it's really easy, and so I realize I'm talking a lot and rambling, but, a lot of people want me to give them advice on how to do it. So the basic idea is spam scouts. Now, in the case of the, the Eldar, that's what they're called. In the case of the Eldar, you can mass produce basically your primary attack unit first, which makes the Eldar the best for winning insane games. They're really glass cannons. They have no defenses and great offense, which makes it very hard to win with them, but they have certain abilities, such as being able to spam their their infantry unit for cheaper and faster than pretty much any of the other races. Now, they are weaker, but that's not that big of a deal. And so once you've completed that, then what you're going to end up wanting to do is mass spam fire dragons, which is pretty easy to get a hold of. And make a ton of plasma generators and try to... All right, there we go. Whoops, they already went. Make a ton of plasma generators and try to capture as many of these points as possible. So the very first thing you want to do is get a very quick victory over the enemy. Because if you don't get a very quick victory immediately over the enemy, you're going to lose. So let me go ahead and show what you got to do. I'll go ahead and stop boring people with all the strategy and the, I swear I'm not a cheater, I swear I'm not a cheater nonsense. But, people are going to accuse me of cheating, so... let me show every tiny little process and what my thinking was on this, because a lot of people don't understand. So I'm going to just quickly show them what my strategy is, what my process is. Now, as you can see, the Guardian Squad is not moving as quickly. Your goal here is to make a machine gun turret right next to the enemy base as fast as humanly possible, which will attract the enemy forces over, so you can kill them using a machine gun. You will not beat the AI in open combat. Don't even try to use your infantry to kill their infantry. Don't try to use your tanks to kill their tanks. You're going to lose. You have to find some sort of surreptitious rock, paper, scissors kind of like one thing's more powerful than the next in order to be able to win. The other drawback is on Soul Crusade, you can only make 4 turrets. So you can't completely surround the enemy base like you could on previous versions. And that means what you end up having to do is you end up having to really be very careful in your positioning. Now, what you really want to do is lock the enemy in as fast as humanly possible in the beginning of the game so they turtle, and then when they're turtling, go around and capture all the other requisition points. And by the end of the game, you should have a lot more than your enemy, and that's how you win. It's really simple, to be honest. It's just a lockdown, just a crack down on the enemy. But I'll show you. So my objective here is to build a machine gun turret as fast as humanly possible, which is very hard to do, obviously. And again, send all your engineers over to the... See, this is the other thing. See how you can see the enemy headquarters there? That's good. This means I'm shooting at the enemy headquarters from the very beginning. All my engineers, all of my men should be attacking the enemy very first thing. Don't try to capture bases. Don't try to capture strategic points. Don't try to capture relics. Go straight to the enemy and try to kill him immediately. That is how you win this game on Insanity. And that sounds kind of, it's super hyper aggressive, but that's what you got to do to be able to win on these sorts of levels. You can't play normal strategies like you would again. See how he's got an engineer there? I'm going to kill that engineer with my machine gun, right? And it's going to happen immediately. Also, another important thing, remember to change the stances so they don't accidentally rush into combat and get killed. Remember that. It's very important. Now, the healing way station will heal all of my units passively by being close enough to the webway gates. I call them Weaver gates, but they're technically webway gates. And when you're next to these Weaver gates, you can build machine gun turrets. You can actually produce bright lances and shurikens, which are basically really powerful tanks. And you can even teleport your units. You can actually teleport units. So this allows you to set... Oh my god. Set up instant... Wow, that was fast. Well, anyways, the enemy is on sanity mode, so clearly they've already built a... wow. Anyways, you can see what I'm saying here. You want to create a machine gun turret, slaughter the enemy as fast as possible, get them to turtle, and then when they're turtling, turn around and attack them. Now, you can do this without a high resource rate. It's actually very easy to do, but obviously it requires a bit more patience. Now, a bit more... Anyways, because the game takes longer. So anyways, this is the point I'm trying to make. See how I've already started killing some of his men? This is the very first thing you want to do is kill the enemy's men as quickly as humanly possible. Don't hesitate. Oh my god. Look how much he has built. Holy crap. Look how little I have built. Look how much he has built. Good god. Anyways, you can see when you're playing on Insanity mode that things get crazy fast. And so if you're a slowpoke, you lose instantly. So your objective inherently is to create machine gun turrets and start trying to kill the enemy immediately. Try to kill the men first and not the buildings first, because it works way faster, and it's just generally speaking better. You can't do a lot of damage at this stage against buildings, so don't even try. Your objective here is actually just to get the enemy to turtle. As you can see, the enemy hasn't even built a single combat unit yet, whereas I flooded the enemy with turrets before they even have a single combat. If you're off by as little as 15 seconds in this game, you lose. You can see that I'm pausing a lot, and I'm pausing to consider what strategy to do. And there's no shame in pausing, so just do it, Okay, good. Okay, I've killed a lot of his men. Okay, good. Now, you're not going to be able to destroy most of his forces out of the gate. So, oh, he just captured Now, here's another important thing. My enemy just captured a critical location. What you want to do is you're sacrificing these positions in order to get them to win. This is done in chess as well, where you sacrifice one of your bishop, you sacrifice your pawns, and you let the enemy get a few victories early on, because what it's called divide and conquer. What he's doing is he's sending his men out to capture critical locations. I don't give a crap about critical locations. My first thing is to kill the enemy. So he may be capturing strategic points, but I don't care. I'm letting him capture these, and he's going to have these for the rest of the game. So that way I can pretty much, deal quite a bit of damage to him. So in other words, you really want to start off You really want to start off just attacking the enemy as aggressively as humanly possible to begin with. People don't understand that. A lot of people are like, oh crap. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so you can see these guys are invisible, and they're very hard to kill, and they're kind of a pain in the butt. So I'm gonna move these guys to try to save them. As you can see, I'm now officially low on resources, but I've captured some Weaver gates. So the very first thing you want to do after you've set up your turrets, is try to actually set up listening shrines, okay? Because you need to make resources. You want to make, monies or whatever. Okay, good. He's dead. He's dead. They're gonna die pretty quickly. Gonna start. Okay, you start repairing, and then this is something you want to check up on. The AIs naturally attack buildings first, and you really don't want that. You really want them to attack units first. So you will have to do a lot of micromanaging in order to do that. I don't know if there's a macro out there that changes that, but it'd be nice if there was. Building, you might have this gut instinct to build, resource sectors first because you'll run out of resources fast, but you can't do that. That's my gut instinct too. You intuitively go, oh man, I'm losing all my money. But that has to be secondary in an insanity game simply because you will lose if you don't focus on immediately killing your enemies. Everything's about micromanaging and trying to have good logistics. Okay, now kill this guy. See, look, you're not attacking him. I don't understand why my machine guns don't just immediately kill my enemies. But they don't for whatever reason. And I don't know why he's attacking the headquarters either, because you can't destroy the headquarters yet, you dummies. But anyways, that's what you'll find in these games. Good. Okay, he's almost done. So now that he's done, we send him back. See, I haven't even captured the strategic points on my own base yet. See how these are the easy ones that anyone can start off with? Yeah, wait to capture these. So it's not that difficult okay, there we go. Build another listening shrine over here. And basically, okay, he's captured it here. Go capture the ones on here. Okay, now you can see units moving on the mini-map. So when you see units moving on the mini-map, then you want to turn around and kill them. This whole thing is a very frantic rush to the death. So if you feel rushed or frantic, that's normal. Anyways, one thing I do like with the game is that the strategic sectors don't have to be connected in order for you to... Okay, look, I've almost defeated his base. This will stop him from producing military units. So anyways, the enemy is turtling. As you can see, he had men over here who captured this, but he sent them back to his home base. And now that he's done that, then he will basically, once you attack their base, the enemy will try to send all of its forces back to defend its base, and then, oh, come on, die. And, anyways. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, anyways, the strategy is pretty simple. It's just bum rush the enemy. But every tiny move you make for the first 10 minutes has to be super, super precise and super consistent, or else you lose. Remember, if you look, this is not higher energy or requisition. So anyone accusing me of cheating, I'm going to do it on the lowest settings possible. If you look, the enemy is actually way weaker than me right now. So actually, by setting it on high energy standards, I'm actually weakening myself. But you just see a lot of people that don't understand. Oh, look at that. Okay, so right now I have way more requisition than I need. I'm going to build another turret. Okay, I don't really want it there. So I'm going to build another Weaver gates first. Build a Weaver gate, and then... Okay, and this is what you do. You just build outwards. Okay, see, this is the problem, micromanaging. But anyways... Okay, Weaver gates. I can't build any more of these or else I would. I haven't even, like, upgraded anything yet. I'm going to create a Farseer, and the reason is that in order to defeat enemy commander units, you have to have your own enemy commander units. This game is really rock, paper, scissors. Certain things are just good against certain things, and certain things are bad against certain things. As you can see, I've only created 2 military units thus far, and everything is being done fighting with buildings. Now, buildings, you'll eventually lose if you try to fight with buildings. So don't try to fight with buildings for the entire game. You have to completely abandon your strategy and do something completely different by the end of the game. I know that sounds weird, But basically, there's stages of combat where no matter how good you are, you have to completely change your strategy right in the middle of the game in order to do what you want to do. Anyways, okay, we've got a couple different Weaver gates, and now I'm going to start, okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, there we go. And I should probably build another plasma generator pretty soon, so I'm going to go ahead and get around to doing that. And even though look how close I am to winning already. So even though you're playing this game and you think you're going to win, things in this game happen fast. So always have your background elements of the game going on, even if you don't think you need it, because the game can do a 180 on you and you could just instantly lose without realizing it. So this is something you want to be very mindful about. Now, obviously, this isn't as difficult as many people think. Remember, this is on insanity mode, and if you've noticed, the enemy has only built one combat unit thus far, and that's my objective: is to keep the enemy turtling, so that way they never have any kind of ability to defend themselves. And then once they're completely weak, they're going. Now, this is insanity mode. So look at him; he's trying to go over here. So let him think he's winning. Oh, look at that. Okay, so I won the game in, I think, 2 minutes or something. So I don't want to look around on the map. It slows the game down. So game over. So let's see, military. I killed 17 enemies, lost 0. The overview is that I produced, I don't know how, 18 men, okay. Resources. Now look at the resources. The computer actually has more resources than me. If you look, so he actually has way more power than me, about triple, maybe even quadruple, and he's got way more requisition than me. So, anyways, that was a 5-minute and 31-second insanity mode gameplay, and basically that's my strategy. Just bum rush the enemy. Now, any of you people trying to say that I was cheating? I was not cheating. It's very obvious what my settings are. I'll just show you them again when I click Moonbase and I click Accept. Okay? You're going to see that my settings are always on Insane. It's automatically. And that the settings are standard. So instead of having high resources, right, I had standard resources. But I could set it on high or standard. So anyways, that's my strategy. That's the idea. That's how you beat the game. Anyways, very little gameplay. This is going to be a more boring video, and I'm sorry about that. But if you're interested in the strategy and the tactics of it all, and again, I way overthink everything, right? I'm putting way more thought and strategy and tactics into something, but you have to be very precise. The first 5 minutes of the game are super important. And if you don't get everything just right, like a game of chess, if you don't have the first, 10 opening moves aren't perfect, then you'll lose. The enemy can defeat you in 4 moves. If you don't know how to play chess. The very first 10 moves are the most important moves. Then that's when the game starts. So that's the reason why I like playing on high resources and on Annihilate instead of, Assassinate or Destroy HQ, because it's way harder for me to play on when the enemy has high resources. People thought I was cheating. Guys, I made it harder on myself to put it on high resources, okay? So standard resources is even easier to win. They think I'm cheating because when I captured critical locations, I didn't instantly win the game. It's like, guys, that makes it harder on me. So I'm not cheating. I'm making it harder on myself. And if you want to know how to make it harder on yourself, this is how you do it. I explained this in the beginning. If you're a veteran player who's played hundreds of hours and you don't know this, like I've met several players who are like that, this is how you do it. So anyways, just thought I'd let you know, no, I'm not cheating. I'm actually making it harder on myself. And if you want to learn how to beat an AI super quickly, this is how you do it. So it's a fun game, but it's really simplistic and it's over very fast. So anyways, 5 minutes of actual gameplay. 15 minutes of me talking about how I'm not a cheater and, the strategy. But everything has to be thought ahead of time, hours in advance, or else you're going to lose. There's a saying in war that 3/4 of the battle happens before the first round is fired, or whatever. The very first shot is fired, because let's face it, you have to think ahead. Logistics is your most important element, and shutting down the enemy logistics is really the best way to win any war, be it in real life or in video games. Anyways, that was just fun, and basically I'm over now, and yeah, that was fun. Anyways, I'll make another video sometime later of me fighting different races. For running as a Space Marines is completely different than winning as Eldar. You have to understand that every single race has their own nuances, and that doesn't mean anything when you're playing against someone who's only okay. But if you're playing against an expert, or if you're playing against an AI that's an expert AI, you have to learn how to use those strategies. People don't like to play against me because I win against them so fast. So, anyways, that's how you do speed runs. That was a 5-minute and 30-second speed run. So, I know this was a 30-minute video, but there you go. Anyways, that was a good example, and yeah. Anyways, anybody have any questions? You want to accuse me of cheating? Which, oh, I don't care. Go ahead and give me your concerns in the comments. Anyways, also, I'm going to be making a lot of political videos, mostly about gun control and other stupid things like that. So, there you go. Anyways. Wait a second. Let me